Hi, this is News at 10. Today we will be talking about the American economy in the 1920s. Joining me today is Professor Brandon James from the University of Cambridge, who is an expert in the consumer goods of the American 1920s. And also we have Professor Mark Morrison from University of Oxford and is an expert in the shares. So, today we'll be asking them a few questions so we can learn a little bit more about the economy in America. So, Professor Brandon James, what was one of the reasons as to why the economy grew in the 1920s as consumers?
Because people were allowed to buy goods from credit, and that was making people go into debt, and then people got a lot more money.
Okay. And now, Professor Mark Morrison, why did the Americans buy so many shares in the 1920s?
Well, it's pretty much the same they do today, really, just on a much larger scale. Money. You buy a share, therefore hold it for a few months, hoping it goes up, and, well, you then sell it back, profit, straight away.
Thank you. Now, Professor Brandon James, what product had the greatest impact on American life and business in the 1920s?
The greatest invention that had an impact in life and business in the 1920s would have had to have been the car, because people would have had to get places, like business meetings in other states.
Okay. Now, Professor Mark Morrison, why were the shares always done on the margin so often?
Well, by doing shares on the market, you can get into even more profit, hopefully.
And what does on the margin actually mean?
Well, if you buy a share on the margin, you're taking a loan from a bank, then you're buying the share, selling it on later, repaying your debt to the bank and hoping you get a profit out of it all.
Now, last question, Professor Brandon James. Why were the radios sold in larger quantities than in 1920 to 1929 when the radios were made much later than fridges?
The reason for that is the radios would have been mass-produced and very cheap considered to a fridge, which would have been very expensive, because they wouldn't have been mass-produced as many, and it would have been more expensive to buy.
Thank you. That's all for today. Goodbye. I rock that.